As of the time that I'm recording this, Chapter 5 is ending tomorrow, so I thought we could look back on the good and the bad of Chapter 5. I will be going through every season and explaining my complaints and things that I enjoyed about each season of Chapter 5.
Look at that, headshot.
Chapter 5, Season 1, Underground. This season started on December 3rd, 2023, and ended on March 8th, 2024. And honestly, I think this season was a very strong start for Chapter 5, and I really don't have a ton of complaints about the season. But one bad thing is that we really didn't get too many updates like we have had in Season 3 and Season 4. But the updates that we did get were very good. Especially the TMNT update, it was just amazing. Another complaint of mine is that they got rid of the Winterfest cabin for some reason. I really don't even know why they did this, at all. Everyone loved the cabin and they just removed it. I still did enjoy Winterfest that year because it was still obviously a very fun update. We even got an LTM for it and a map change. So yeah, it was a cool event. So yeah, that's pretty much all my complaints. Now moving on to my favorite parts of this season. One of my favorite parts was obviously the map. A lot of the POIs on the map were pretty good in my opinion. My favorites being Reckless Railways, Ruined Reels, and Hazy Hillside. Even though these POIs are very realistic and different than your normal Fortnite POIs, they were very fun to fight in and just overall very beautiful landing spots. Next, let's talk about the bosses. There were 5 bosses on the Chapter 5 Season 1 map, being Oscar with his mythic Frenzy Auto Shotgun, Montague with his mythic Nemesis AR, Valeria with her mythic Hyper SMG, Nisha with her mythic Striker AR, and finally, Peta with his mythic Hammer Pump. All of these bosses are great, but my favorite was definitely Peter Griffin. His Hammer Pump was really good, and the boss was overall just insanely fun to fight. Also, another thing is the loot pool this season was honestly pretty good in my opinion. Probably my second favorite loot pool. This battle pass, which included Peter Griffin, was also very good in my opinion, and it's probably my favorite of the chapter, actually. So that concludes Chapter 5 Season 1, and my overall rating of this season is 8.5 out of 10. Chapter 5 Season 2 started on March 8th and ended on May 24th. I would say that this season is definitely weaker than Season 1. One of my complaints for the season was that it also, just like Season 1, didn't have a ton of updates. And one of the biggest updates of the season removed all of the season exclusive items. I'm talking about the Avatar The Last Airbender update. When the update arrived, people logged on to find that every single Greek mythology mythic had been vaulted. This was a really bad thing for Season 2, and people say to this day that the Avatar update killed Season 2. Now for the things that I enjoyed about this. Let's start with the launch. The launch of Chapter 5 Season 2 was absolutely horrible, let's be honest. It was being delayed by 18 hours or something, and yeah, overall it was just a terrible thing for the game. I will admit that. But when I say that the launch was amazing, I mean when you could actually play the game after the 18 hours of delays. I'm not even sure why the season launch was so fun to me, but it just stood out from the rest of the chapter for me. I was having some of the most fun I've ever had in Fortnite for that first week or two. Another one of the things that was awesome this season was the Star Wars event. You could find these Stormtrooper outposts or something, I don't know what it's called, all over the map. And you could even recruit Chewbacca, which was a very fun feature, honestly. Another thing that we had return was Darth Vader, who actually, returned and brought his lightsaber with him. So yeah, that was just a very fun event for the season, and it kind of revived it for me just a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about the season, and honestly, it definitely wasn't a terrible season, but it is not good enough to call it peak like everyone was saying at the beginning of the season. So my overall rating of this season is a 7 out of 10. Chapter 5 Season 3 Wrecked began on May 24th and ended on August 16th, 2024. This may be the single most controversial season in Fortnite history, and during the casual competitive war, I was on the casual side. You can even go back and look at my videos on that season and see that I was defending the cars. My opinion has changed since then, and I think that it was definitely a good decision to nerf the cars. They were insanely overpowered and too far from what Fortnite is supposed to be. But anyways, apart from that, I actually liked this season a lot. But let's get into my complaints. My main complaint is what I pretty much just said. And the only other thing that comes to mind is the loot pool. We had really bad weapons in the spotlight, like the tactical assault rifle, for example. And it really did take a big hit at the season for me. Moving on, let's talk about everything that I liked about the season. Well, for starters, the mythics of the season were great. We had Ringmaster Scar's Mythic Boom Bowl, Megalodon's Nitro Fist, Megalodon's Combat Shotgun, and the Machinist Mythic Combat Assault Rifle. These were all really fun items to use, and even the medallions were great. Also, another thing that I loved were the constant updates. We got a lot of good updates this season, and we got updates every, week or so. So yeah, that concludes Chapter 5 Season 3. Not a terrible season in my opinion, and honestly, I did have a lot of fun this season. So I'll have to rate it a 7.8 out of 10. Chapter 5 Season 4 came to Fortnite on August 16th, 2024 and ended on November 2nd, 2024. Absolute doom. This season is pretty good in my opinion, but I do have some complaints. One of them being about the medallions. We had 3 medallions this season, and in my opinion, each of them were not unique, and some of them were just overall bad. We had Doombot's Siphon Medallion, Mysterious Stealth Medallion, and Emma Frost Scan Medallion. 1. Emma Frost Medallion is good, but you can get it from an NPC. 2. We have already seen a Siphon Medallion, so that's just not unique. 3. Mysterious Medallion just overall sucked. And also, with that medallion, why didn't we get one of, Mysterious abilities or something? How, in, Chapter 2, Season 2, you could make clones of yourself. Why couldn't we get that? And that's pretty much all of my complaints, except for the jetpack. For the first, week of the season, jetpacks were insanely fun to use, but eventually they just got extremely annoying. Luckily, Epic vaulted these for this year's Fortnitemares. Moving on, let's talk about everything that I liked about the season. First, just like Season 3, this season got constant updates. And the updates this season were so good. We had stuff like the Iron Man update, the Doom Island update, Fortnitemares. I could go on for a while. Another thing that I really liked about this season was that the locations that were added to the map this season, they were so good. We had Doom's Courtyard, Castle Doom, the Raft, and Doomstat. Pretty much the whole upper area of the map was updated, and the whole area became much more vibrant. And overall, these POIs were just absolutely great. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this season, and in my opinion, it was a very good season, and maybe even the best of Chapter 5. I'm going to give this season a solid 9 out of 10. So that was Fortnite Chapter 5. Tell me what you thought of it in the comment section below. In my opinion, probably the worst chapter ever, honestly. I was being very generous when I was talking about Season 2 and Season 3. I really think that compared to most seasons, they were pretty bad. And I hope Epic learns from this chapter. Also, when I'm recording this, the live event just happened, and it was terrible. Just confirming that this is the worst chapter. But that's not saying there weren't fun times in this chapter. Anyways, Chapter 2 Remix comes out tomorrow, and honestly, it looks pretty fun, even though I don't really get why we have Ice Spice, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem. But that's okay. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and remember to always stay super.